So guys, our female head looks a little bit awkward. It's especially because of the eyes. The eyes are a little bit malish still. And that's because they are not round. That's one of the reasons, is because they are not round. The other reasons is because we don't have a separate eyeballs. And why am I not making the separate eyeballs, we will see. You will say, because I'm stupid. Let's just make the separate eyeballs and it will be better. I will push this inside. Then I will make what? A. Clear the mask. Make a sphere. Put it here. In position. Now, the problem will be that our separate eyeball will have issues. The eyeball will be around this size, most likely, even maybe smaller, but yeah, let's say this size will be nice. So I'll put it inside, put it up, and it will be about here, maybe a little bit more in. Okay, I think it's kind of fine. Let's add a little bit of subdivision surface. Let me think a little bit. Okay, subdivision surface twice, and then apply. And then I will connect it with this one. Okay, let's try. Control J. And then what I will do is in scope mode, I will press symmetrize. And it's symmetrized now. They are yellow eyes, but they will be white at some point. And this is a little bit better though. Around the eyelids, we didn't have particularly the crease above the eyelids, which makes them look a little bit odd. We should do that. And we are kind of okay. Maybe the eyes themselves should be a bit bigger, but the eyeballs, no. So the eyes can look big, but the eyeballs, not so much. So let me show you how big is actually the eyeball of this girl. Many people will think that the eyeball, what the, yes. So many people will think that the eyeball is around this size, which is not. It's not this size. It's from around here to around here. It's this big. So it's kind of this size. So smaller, basically smaller than the nose. It's around this size. So the eyeball, yeah, it's small, definitely. It's not something huge. Let me try to make it as a circle, if I can. No, I can't, because those circles, yeah, it should be around this size, the eyeball, which is smaller than the nose itself. Let's see. Amazing. Now, let's continue with our model. We will make an this girl, or at least we will make a girl from scratch. Would it be this girl? We will see. So we have female, we have male, we will disable them. Then we go and mesh, sphere, and we continue. Now, we start, as we start with the male, we make the chin area here, we squeeze the head, especially the front part, the back part also, by the way, because if you leave it too wide, it will be like an alien. So we have to be careful. I'm smoothing here to smash it a bit, smash it, and then from the side view, we always want to have this kind of a squarish shape, but as again, I will emphasize, don't make it too square. Just a little bit squarish, not so round, not super round. So now it's maybe a little bit too squarish, but we will see. Let's make a small neck. So I will pull down. I'm rotating to see from all angles what have I pulled, because sometimes if I pull down and I look only from one angle, it seems like, you know, it happens a little bit like a tooth with with two necks, which is not exactly the right thing. Now, I will squeeze here, squeeze, and you don't try to make it as female-ish in the beginning, you just try to make the right proportions. So the skull in the back should be kind of small, not big and huge like this. It's smaller, and the chin will be thin and nice. Also small chin will make. And the neck will be long and thin. By the way, if you make the neck too thin and the head is relatively not stylized but realistic, it will be bad. If the head is stylized, the thin neck, it's not a big issue. But if it's realistic, it could be a problem. So make sure your neck is normal size. And never, again, I will tell you, never do the neck like this. This is a turtleneck. I mean, the jaw is too big in here. You see, let's analyze a little bit this one. From the other side we will see. And here it looks like her neck is too much forward, her jaw is too much forward. But if we take the neck, and the back part of the neck will be here, the skull will be around this area, like this. And here, you see where the neck attaches. Yeah, we have a little bit of a curve, of course, yes. But where the neck attaches is between the end of the jaw and the front part of the jaw. So this is around the middle point. So if your end of the jaw is this, I mean the jaw is this big, it should be, the neck should come to around here. And here like this. And remember that on the female, on the cartoon character, on baby character, this back part of the skull is very protruding. I mean, the neck is thin and this part is very protruding because, you see, on the skull, if this is the skull, for example, around the middle, around here is coming the spine. The spine is coming from here. And you see, the female doesn't have too much muscles here to make the backside thick. Only with very huge and very thick traps, the neck will be very thick. With the small traps and flat muscles of a normal female, this will be kind of a curve in here, pretty huge. So yeah, let's continue working on ours. So no turtlenecks. I will push this in and push also this. So the back of the skull is pretty huge. It's not huge, but it's protruding a lot from the neck backwards, because many people are thinking that this should be more like this, and they're making the female like this, which is not exactly the case. Let me show you what I mean. You see here it's protruding. It's not too much because she's not exactly in a profile view, but still it's protruding. Even in a male, it's kind of protruding backwards. And a female, in here we can see she's pointing forward, but if she was to be like straight up, this will be protruding even more. And you see how her head is like flat here, flat on the top and flat on the back. It's like a squarish shape, not a round shape like this one. This round shape, I told you, is because when they scan, they put a net around the hair here, and the overall shape of the head becomes a little bit different. And if the guy doesn't know what he's doing exactly, if the guy hasn't made enough skulls and enough heads in his life, the head could end up like looking like this, like it's inflated in the back here. Because yeah, but if they scan a girl without hair, then it will be a nice scan. But they usually scan girls with hair, and that's why this happens. So let's continue with our model. Yeah, we spent a lot of time in the beginning, but the beginning is maybe the most important thing. You have to spend enough time here so your model will look good enough for the next stage, which is putting some detail, some primer detail. And make sure your model and your head is not super wide. You know, you see here, it's from this position, the length of the head, the height of the head is from here to here. Of course, she's a little bit like down, because you see the nose and the ears are starting a little bit above the nose line. That's why, that's because she's kind of tilted forward, the head. But other way, it's from here to here. So this is not all the way through here. It's kind of like this. We have it. Maybe it should be wider in here, yes. And then flat, 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 small chin, and it's like this. So length, width, the width is smaller than the length. Don't make it like a round shape, you know. All right. And the eyes are kind of in the middle of the head. But that we will do. Now, the idea here is to make the forehead a bit smaller, because the forehead, many people are making it too wide and too angular for a female, and that is making a lot of problems. That's a lot of issues are coming out from this. So ears I'm making, and disabling the mask, continuing with the jaw. So I'm gonna look at her mostly from this angle, from this side, because my reference is from this side. So I should look at it from here to see what will happen. So we will have the separation here, and then eye sockets. But between the eyes, we'll have a little dimple, as you can see. Let's see it from the side. You see how it's a little dimple. And this is not a complete profile. Don't get me wrong. As you can see, you see the eyebrow. Then you can see where the middle line of the head will be. And then you see above the middle line of the head, which means this is not a profile view, a complete profile view. That's why it's very difficult for a female, especially beautiful female actresses or models, to find a complete profile view, because mostly the rule of photography is to never take complete profile. Take a profile with a little bit forward tilt, you know, a little bit of the face, a little bit more of the face will be visible. But this is because in photography they look better. For reference, they're okay, but we have to be a little bit careful. We don't have to rely on they being complete profile, because they're not. Most of the time they're not. It's rare that you can find a real complete profile. Now what I did is I did this cheekbone stuff that is going through the mouth, to the mouth, from the ears. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So if the ears are from here to here, this position, so from a little bit of a top part of the ear, we have this going through the mouth, which is kind of like this. Yes. And this is kind of a fat area. Of course, it's very blended with the rest, but it's a form there. You see, we have a form also here, and we always have the muzzle of the mouth kind of, you know, so those lines are coming through here, and then they're gradually going like this to go to the muzzle of the mouth. So the muzzle of the mouth is very important. If you don't kind of make it, it's there, but then smooth it with the rest, because it's a female, it will look awkward and not very much fun. So let's push it, the muzzle of the mouth, and then smooth it. Then push it, then smooth it, then push it from here, because I want the nose also to be a little bit more visible. And the top of the nose, I will smash it, because I want it to be thinner. Now the eyebrows, I think, are kind of okay. They are not protruding too much like this, for example. They are kind of going outward, so aerodynamical, yes. And the head itself, the forehead, I will push a little bit here. Again, I'm pushing a bit. I know it's a female, but still I'm pushing a little bit, because I don't want this to be like this, you know. This shape that is in the beginning, when you are making the model, is not good. You have to fix your foreheads. Don't make them like they are from the sphere. I mean, the forehead should have its own forms, but we will get to that. I mean, for now, we have this. The muzzle of the mouth will be a little bit more forward, because you see her upper lip, how it's like going forward a bit, but careful with that. It shouldn't be ultra forward. It shouldn't be like a duck lip. And also the distance between the end of the nose and the upper lip is very small in some female. Some very feminine females. This is if the female is very feminine. It's with a lot of estrogen hormone in the before birth. Yeah. If the fetus or the baby in the womb, if it's fed with enough or too much estrogen or low testosterone, even a female can be more feminine. And if it's a male, for some reason, it becomes gay. That's why gay most of the time is not by choice. You're not choosing to be gay or something most of the time. Most of the time it's, or transsexual or gay is a question of low testosterone levels in the womb. And from that, you have boys who have girls' brains and they are suffering a lot after birth. But these days we are getting more and more tolerant towards them. So I think, yeah, and we are understanding that scientifically it's proven that this is the case. They are born this way. They are not made themselves this way. They are born this way. And this, by the way, mostly is starting to take an effect in the teenage years, because then the hormones are starting to kick in and everything. Before that, you can see a normal boy or a normal girl, but then in the teenage years, something will happen. But the idea here is that this is a pretty feminine girl with very small distance between the nose and the upper lip. Okay, we have it. Now, let's dial down the resolution a lot and then smooth it. Of course, I can symmetrize it also. And you will ask, but where is this symmetrize come from? Let me show you. The symmetrize is here on the top. Where is this butterfly icon? The little arrow, and then it's here on the bottom. How I get it on the screen so easily? Because you right click and add to quick favorites. In my case, it's remove because I already added. And with Q, you get your quick favorites and the symmetrize will be there if you add it. And you can add also other things if you wish to do so. So it's pretty cool. Symmetrize is cool. We have to do it especially in Blender. And now you see it looks like a female. Although the top part of the skull is a little bit too big, I will kind of dial it down a bit, especially on the sides. We want the top from the front to look like a roof of the house, not like a squarish thingy. That's why I'm doing this. I will flatten the sides a bit, flatten the fronts a bit, and yeah, basically we have it. Maybe I will dial it down a bit and then move this forward also a bit. The idea is that above the ears will be the top part of the skull most of the time, and from that point it will go back gradually. Now, let's see here, for example. You see above the ears is the top part of the skull, and then after that, this top part, it's going backwards and down. This is a real girl without hair, which is great because it's a great reference. This also is a real girl without hair, too much hair, but we cannot see too much from this. This is from below. We can see the muzzle of the mouth. You see, the mouth is never flat. It's always like very curved, like you see it's here. It's very curved. Even I, sometimes I'm doing it not so curved. So curved. Also the eyes. You see the shape of the eyes. This is a very good reference, and if you know what to look for, it will be very useful. Let's see here. On the top here is the, yeah. So even here, it's right. On the top of the ears is the top part of the skull, and then it's going backwards and forwards from there. It's like, yeah. And they made it. But what I don't like here completely is this here. This kind of a specular shows that we have a little bit of an angle just above the eyebrow here, which for a girl is not looking very good. Maybe it's not like that. Maybe it looks like this specular is there, but it's really not exactly, the shape is not exactly what I imagine it is. But still, you know, I have to say there are issues with the skull. The face is amazing. on that one, but issues with the skull. Now, let's make the mouth exactly like our concept. So I will push in this area and then push here on an angle a little bit. You see, it's on an angle. Okay, now it looks very bad, but let's make a little bit of a side of the nose here and the nostrils, and then we will see what we'll do from the front view, how big it should be, because now it could be too big. I don't know, we'll see. Now, the top lip, I will move with the move brush a bit up and this a bit down. Move this up and make sure we have the nose. It will go inside the face a bit, so never make the nose go outside of the face. You know, the nostrils have to go in. And then we will have our lips. Of course, now we don't have too much geometry, so I will just mark them where they should be. And the lower lip also. And just the distance between lower lip, this, and the chin. Between the lower lip and the chin. And the lower lip should be a little bit kind of a thicker, and yeah, but we don't have geometry now, so I will smooth the nose also. Probably in my case the nose is too long, or there is something wrong with the proportions, because now I see that this part here is a little bit small, or the top part of the skull is too big. So I will just shrink the top part of the skull, because I don't want it to be too big. Also, I will shrink the neck. I don't want the neck to be too huge. And when I shrink this, we have to shrink the whole head as well. You see, it's never, you know, sometimes you can hit it from the beginning, but most of the time you have to adjust from, with a big grab brush, you have to adjust your sculpt. And as you can see, the ears are starting from the middle of the skull around this area. They are tilted backwards. Make sure you check all those boxes in your model and it will be fine. The ears, okay. Then, what else? Then, the top part of the skull, where the skull is kind of going up, and then reaching the point. The top point is above the ears, which is check. We have it. Okay, now the eyes, I will move them a bit in. I don't know where the eyes will be yet exactly, but we will see. Now I will push this area. So, but be careful with the cheekbones. They should be a little bit more in. Except if you're making an Asian character. Some Asians have very protruded cheekbones. They are pretty much out. But, yeah, we're not doing an Asian right now. So, I will increase the resolution and then smooth. And now it should get better. Let's see the sternocleidomastoid. Don't make it too pronounced or too big. We need it, but not too much. And then let's make the clavicle in here, at least. Try to make some clavicle. Just like this. And then we'll make this kind of area a bit more protruding. This should kind of work, but it's not perfect, especially from the front. You see how the neck is kind of getting thicker. We don't want that. We want here in the back this to get thin, because the neck is usually, the traps are here and the sternocleidomastoid is thin, so it's not protruding that much. It's very thin. You have to be careful with those things. Now here, I'm not sure what's happening around the nose, but we'll do this. Just like that, and the nose, and we will make holes for the nose. And we will make little things in here, which will be the nostrils basically. And then we'll make the hole between the two parts of the upper lip. It's not the upper lip, it's the distance above the upper lip. And here I will add more meat, because sometimes, and it's a big mistake, this line here gets here, which is not correct. So you have to push more meat in this area to get the line to go a little bit more up here. And then you smooth this line because you don't want it to be too huge. Also here around the eye, around the mouth, we can add more meat or geometry and just squeeze it. Just smooth it, I mean, not squeeze it. And then I will just make sure I have the upper lip and it's kind of fine. I can add more volume into it, more meat I say, especially in the middle to make it like a big. And then the lower lip, we can do it bigger. And then on the sides here, we can inflate this area so they touch each other on the sides, and it will be extremely and immediately better. And then we'll have to look at our girl from the front, because otherwise it's looking a bit odd. Maybe our lip is not as huge as we want to be, as it has to be. The upper lip and the lower lip has to be a bit big. They are actually, we're doing a nice beautiful female, which means we have to make the lips a bit bigger. And of course not bigger than the concept. We will try to achieve the concept, which means we have to make it bigger. But for now I will leave it like this. Let's make the ears, by the way. The ears will be again the this shape will go in. The question mark is here. Of course I'm looking at this ear, and then the Y shape is inside. And then we will push this middle of the Y shape or inner part of the Y shape in. And then we'll make this little protrusion here. And we'll push all these things back so the ear will kind of tilt backwards. Then we will smooth this and make sure we have this lower part, which in her case is pretty prominent. So I will do it. Ears are relatively the same shape in all persons. The same, not shape, the shapes are different, but the same parts are on the ear. The same things, relatively same placement, but the shapes are very various shapes of the ear. But if you have done like 5 or 6 ears in your lifetime only, it will be difficult for you. If you do tens of ears or hundreds of ears at some point, you will notice how they are pretty much the same with some variety in the shape of the different parts of the ear. So this doesn't look super cool. So let's see from the front what is wrong. So what is wrong here is the following. The nose is wrong because we have to make sure the front part of the nose is wide enough, but the nostrils are going a little bit in. So they're not so wide. Although her nostrils are kind of wide. What's happened? I pushed my microphone and it went up to space, which is okay. I will just fix it and continue. Hopefully it's not detached yet, it's still working, so it's good. I was just to turn and put my hand to sneeze, but I just hit my microphone and it went ballistic. But it's okay now. It's okay. I'm sorry if the noise was a little bit overwhelming. You see how the nose, by the way, in the middle has this kind of crease. Why? It's because the nostrils are here. We have the nostrils, the whole of the nostril. This is the bottom part of the nostril. And then the nostrils finish. But then we have a cartilage which is coming like this. One in one side and the other one is on the other side. The same. And this cartilage, by the way, is the reason that most people, not most, but we have this kind of a cut in the middle of the nose. Eyes have it too. Some people have it on the chin too, but not me. Those lucky bastards that have the double chin, you know. Now, the mouth is a little bit too huge, so I will just move it forward. like this, and then I'll make sure it's closer to the nose, because now it's not as close. And also we might want to put some teeth inside, because without teeth, without the upper teeth mostly, it always look awkward when it is like this, without upper teeth. So let me put just very basic cylinder, make it smaller, make it lower like this, and put it, and they will be very slightly visible, the lower teeth, the upper teeth. But when they're there, we are having a better day. And I will put the symmetry on, then go to my sculpt mode and just put it into position. Okay, don't put the teeth too much forward. I told you that the skull with the teeth is kind of a backwards in here. It has a big distance between the lip here, the front part of the lip, and the teeth. The distance is kind of like thick. That's why we have to be careful there. So I will smooth some areas, because here especially you don't want this crease. It's there, you can make it and then smooth it, because if you make it too much, it will be disastrous. Now, the jaw. I noticed that the jaw is coming at an angle here with the ears and everything. So let's do that. Push, push. Just make sure this is kind of an angle, because she's a very female-ish and she doesn't have this square jaw that some females have. And I mean, female-ish is not always ultra beautiful. She is. But I'm saying not always the super female-ish is ultra beautiful, because sometimes a little man features, but very moderate, in a female can make her look very, very attractive. But this is just for me, probably. I don't know. So there are a lot of beautiful women with kind of a wider jaw from the front. It looks like wider. It's not exactly wider, it's normal. But you see, the nostrils, they are not in this, like this angle. They are almost straight down, like this. And then above them, it's not very, you don't push too much above the nostrils. It's like, kind of like this. And the double nose, the double front of the nose, we'll push it and make sure it's not ultra pronounced. This has to be very, very subtle here. So I will even kind of smooth it so it's ultra subtle, hopefully. It's not yet, but it should be. I will push the nose. I will try to make sure the nose is like the concept. From the side view, she is looking relatively fine. From the front view, she is not looking ultra cool. But working from a concept and achieving a likeness is not an easy task in any measure. It's very difficult, and it requires a lot of knowledge about and a lot of practice. You cannot just with knowledge, it will not happen. You need to have the practice in order to make all the sculpting necessary exactly as it should be. Only with knowledge it will not happen. I will give you most of the knowledge, but the practice, you have to do it by yourself. Nobody can give it to you. So let's continue with the eyes in here. So the eyes, I will put them here. Maybe we can move them later. And since I haven't put the eyeball yet, I can move them very much whatever I want. With a little margin, not whatever I want. I cannot put them next to the nostrils, although we can try that, we'll see. So this will be the eyeball here inside. So this is the bottom of the upper eyelid. Then we'll have the crease above it. And as we can see here, the crease is not in the same distance from the eyelid all around. It's closer here on this side, closer on this side, and the higher distance is around here. Okay, so then I know that above it here we have a fat pad. So I will do this fat pad and smooth it, because we don't want this fat pad to be very visible from 3/4 view. Most of the time when you do this fat pad a lot, when you kind of overdo it, and then you go to 3/4 view, you will get scared because it will be a big bump in this area, which will make it look more manly, which is not a good thing ever. It's never a very good thing for your beautiful female to look ultra manly with this kind of big, you know. Okay, now here, with the big eyebrows, this will be our eye, and then this is the bottom of the eye ball, and then below it will be our little tiny bottom eyelid, which is not very little or tiny, but it's there, so it's fine. Now let's see, I will move it a little bit because I see the shape was questionable. And here we have to be careful with this transition because it's very harsh. I will flatten it because on a female you usually don't have this ultra harsh transition between the nose and the forehead and everything. It's kinda, everything is subtle and cool. That's why it's a female, you know. And if for some reason we can have our girl to be a beautiful girl just in less than 1 hour time, it would be a wonderful thing. But for you, it probably will take a lot more. And make sure you watch this video a couple of times maybe, or even the other videos, because I told you in the beginning, when you watch a video with so many informations, with so much information inside, you will get around, if you are very careful during the video, you will get around 20%, 25% of the information only. And the rest will be in the video, but you will not be able to see it because the brain cannot, you know, process so much information. That's why you have to watch the video a couple of times and practice. So watch the video once, practice few heads of female, for example, and then watch the video again and practice a few heads, and you will see definitely improvement. That's inevitable. Now here, this part of the nose, I will make it a little bit narrower. I don't want this part to be huge. And here we'll see what will happen. But she is already looking kind of okay when we made our eyes. But make sure that the jaw is coming down in an angle. What I mean by that is not straight down and then jaw like this, like Quagmire from Family Guy, but like in an angle, inward angle, and then we have going in and the chin. But everything is kind of smooth. There are not too much harsh lines in a female head or face. So be aware of that. I will increase the size of the cheek fat here. And our girl is looking kind of fine. It's not the best looking girl maybe in the universe, but it's visible that it's not a male, which is which is kind of fine. I find it nice. Then what we can do is we can try at some point to make some eyebrows as she has in our concept, we might say, but it's a picture. Yeah, and with the eyebrows, she's looking even better. And if we make eyelashes, which I suggest to make it separately, but I will make them from here, from this mesh, which is not exactly the best, then it will look even better. And if we put again the black colors, and it will start to look amazing. But you see, the muzzle of the mouth is there. It's there, the muzzle of the mouth. It's not pronounced, it's not like this to be visible because it will be awkward, but it's there. It's exactly like this, but it's very smooth with everything else. You have to make sure you have these forms, muzzle of the mouth form, and in there we have this fat pads around the mouth, and the corners of the mouth are inside like this. They're going in, as you can see here. They're kind of in like this. So that's important. The fat things around them, and then the muzzle of the mouth, and then you have the cheek fat here, and it's going kind of to blend with the muzzle of the mouth in this area here, and we even can have a little bit of a cut in this area and smooth it. And I think, yeah, from the front view it looks pretty awesome. And now I will go to my black brush and just blacken the inner mouth, part of the lips, and very importantly this eyelashes and the eyebrows. By the way, don't get too fast. I will erase the mustache. Don't get too fast to do the... Yeah, she's not looking exactly perfect, but it's fine. I think we made it kind of cool. The problem is if you start making the eyebrows too early. You don't need them in the beginning. You need to make it good enough without eyebrows. And then when you put the eyebrows, it will look even better. But if you kind of see, I cannot make it good enough, let me put eyebrows and eyelashes and it will be better. Yes, it will be, but it's not a very good idea. Because then you will not see your other flaws. Like your neck is too thick, your jawline is a bit too huge, or your chin is a little bit too big or too wide or something, you know, male chin. You have to be careful about those things. But if you make the chin too small, it will look like a hentai or anime character or something. So be careful with that. Nothing too much. Everything has to be moderate amounts. In moderate amounts. But you always can make the cat eyes. So the corners of the eye to be a little bit more up than the corners. The outer corners to be more up than the inner corners of the eye. Which can make the eyes look like a cat eye or fox eye. And in most cases, for a female, this looks good. For a male, don't ever do this. Even for a... No, if it's a male who has to be female-ish, maybe with a little bit thicker chin, squarer jaw and other things, it could work. But... And we are almost ready with this. And we can continue with the next thing, which will be probably something... By the way, I think I said it already, but notice how we have this kind of thing below the eye, which is a little bit inflated, which is our fat pads below the eyelid, which we have to have kind of there. Right? Okay. And of course, they don't need to be huge or very visible. Everything has to be very smooth in this area especially. Because if it's... But we have them. Let me show you. You see? This thing in here. It's kind of visible. But it's not super visible, so don't do it too much. What I do always is I do this. The inner corner of the bottom part of the orbit of the eye. And then it's just visible kind of in this part, and then it smooths out and it's not visible. And here you can make it. You can kind of make it the side of this particular orbit of the eye, but you have to be careful because if it goes too much, if it's too much, it will be bad. Alright, let me just make sure the nose is a little bit black in here, and black in this area, and black in this area a bit. Okay. Looks not super bad. Now, what I was trying to say is that we shouldn't... I mean, it's difficult to make female and male heads at the same time. If you are learning how to make a male head, it will be better to concentrate only on that. Because when you are making male heads, then if you try to make a female head, it will become manly and it will be very difficult to make a female head. If we are learning how to make female heads, then you have to concentrate only on that and make only female heads for a certain amount of time to get into this and to see the smoothness and everything. And each time I'm doing mostly male heads and then go back to female heads, then I have issues. Even I have issues with that. So I'm just giving you a bit of a warning here, because it's like this. If you're training for something very hard, at some point you will be very good at this something, but something else will kind of be worse. So training for male heads, the female heads will become worse. Of course, many of you probably just want to do a nice character for portfolio and will try just to do a character from Sphere just once and then to spend hours, tens of hours to fix this head and to make it better. Could work a little bit, but I think you should jump from head to head for a while, just for practice, just to get better understanding of the forms of the head and everything. Because even if you succeed in making kind of a nice head for portfolio, after you do it, and if you get a job in the game industry, let me just move the ear forward, it's too much back. Even if you get the job in a game studio, then they will give you a scan, for example, or they will give you some task that you probably will be having a very hard time doing because you don't quite have the practice and understanding of the forms of the head and the shapes. So that's why I suggest for you to practice those forms and head shapes and everything. Just practice it a lot. Make at least, let's make a challenge to make 100 heads for half a year or for an year. For half a year it will be better because for short amount of time, but it will require you for half year you have to do one head every 2 days at least. So you have to spend, if you spend like 4 hours a head, you can do it a head a day, so 30 heads in month. But every head has to be a different actress, or it has to be a study, or it has to be a planes of the head, or even a skull and then a head over the skull, as I'm showing you here. Those exercises for me are the best exercises you can take. So working from picture is very cool but difficult, because the picture doesn't show you that much the things. Here working from another art is a little bit more easy, because you see more easily the planes, because it's always a little bit stylized, like this one for example. It's very cool. Although if we do this one without the hair, it will not look as good, but we may try to do it in the next video, we'll see. And then of course studies, head planes and other stuff, it's very, very important. Even I, from time to time, am doing head studies, head plane studies, and they have to be done in a certain time, because you forget things, you forget how things are working. Because when you are doing things in this course, and at some point you will finish the course, and then your head will be better, but if you don't practice it constantly and every day, at some point you will forget some things and your heads will become like, how was this? How was I supposed to do this thing here, this curves and everything, you know? So those things you have to practice, mostly. Okay, now we'll finish this video and I will see you, of course, in the next, where we will do, let's do this head, and then probably we will start doing our feedback sessions. We'll see.